Okay, so that's where basically Miss Willis and Mr. Wade would meet
Yes.
for their relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Mr. Bradley told me at that first meeting that they would meet at hotels. He told me about a lot of travel. I mean, he detailed, he detailed a lot of stuff. He said that they traveled to Texas, they traveled to Florida, just, a lot of different travel. He said Belize, he specifically said Belize, a cruise, the Bahamas, things like that.
And you were later able to verify that through other subpoenas or open records request or whatever?
Yes, I was. I was able to, I subpoenaed bank records, I subpoenaed credit card records, and then I actually subpoenaed the travel agencies that Mr. Wade used for some of those trips. He used, 2 of the cruises that they took, he used a travel agency. So there was a cruise to the Bahamas, I got through a travel agency. There was a trip to Aruba that I got through the travel agency. And then there was another cruise, I think that one was to the Bahamas also, that I got through a different travel agency. And then his credit cards are the ones that showed all the Belize trips.
And they showed that he was buying the tickets for both himself and Miss Willis?
Oh, yes, the credit card statements. So because I guess he used a travel agency, his credit card statements actually had her name and seat number and all that on it.
Okay.
So, there was no disputing.
Clear it was paid for by him on his credit cards?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Is this the document you gave us from the Capital One there?
It is, yes. And there you can see, so Clara Bowman is Mr. Wade's mom. So this was the cruise that happened October 31st, around that date. Mr. Wade paid for Miss Willis, Mr. Wade, and then his mother's plane tickets, and then also their cruise receipt. I think that one was Royal Caribbean.
Okay. So your summary here showing the trips, we know that in late October they took a cruise to the Bahamas, and this is from his financial records. He paid for this for both tickets?
Yes, this is from his financial records, and I tried to be, there were a lot of Ubers and things like that. I did not include things like that, I wasn't positive. I wanted to be under-inclusive, not over-inclusive.
Right. And then you show the trip to Aruba, another one to Bahamas, one to Belize, one to Napa Valley, California.
Yes.
These are all from October 22 up till May of 23.
Yes.
Okay. This is a document you produced us?
Yes.
This summary, is this something we prepared?
No, it's a summary.
Okay. And so you discovered that and verified its accuracy through these credit card receipts, et cetera?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Do either of them deny these trips occurred?
No, not at all.
So is this the impropriety, the financial impropriety of getting financial benefit from the job that he's paying for her way on these trips with money?
Yes.
That she's paying him and approving?
This is what I would call undisputed. Some of the other stuff on his credit cards, it looks like there's trips to Charlotte and Florida and other things like that. But this is what we could undisputed say was with Miss Willis.
So back to you're a good investigative reporter here. So you have heard these rumors, and now Mr. Bradley, just by almost happenstance, you're with him in court.
Yes.
And he spills the beans on it and verifies it. Then you go get the documents to prove it's accurate.
Yes.
And you identify year to get him to say, yeah, that's the woman whose condominium they would go to?
Yes.
Okay.
And I developed it, you joke about my investigative skills. I've done public defense most of my career, at some point or another, or pro bono. It's hard to get money for investigators, so I've learned how to do a lot of it on my own. I dig a lot on things. So, and I do like to use the Open Records Act, so I was able to do that and get a lot of information. But what I did was I compiled all of the information Mr. Bradley gave me, and then I did various open records requests based on it. And then, once I would get something, I would reach out to him to verify, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't tracking anything that was wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make any allegations that didn't have support. So I would regularly verify with him. And I'd see him in court. We talked on the phone several times. I wasn't the only person that he told about this. There was another attorney on the case, Manny Aurora, who his client ultimately pled out, so he didn't continue this investigation, but he was involved in the investigation early on. And Mr. Bradley told him some of the same things that he told me. So, I was able to independently verify a lot of things, which to me, investigating is important, that the East Point location, that it was in Hateville. You know, Robin Yeardy actually did quit. You know, Mr. Bradley had told
Was
me
she
about.
forced to quit, or how'd that come
No,
about? You know?
I don't believe she was forced to quit. That was a point of contention in our hearing. She said she left, that she was sent to another division. It's my understanding she had some, she was outspoken about she didn't like some of the things that was happening in that office. And when she voiced that, she was sent to a different department to work, and it wasn't something that she wanted to do because she did the communications. And so she quit after that, is my understanding.
Okay.